Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here again. Halloween, we got 2 more days to get through this and early voting will be done. So, you guys have all done election training with Jim in here. What I'm gonna do is just kind of re-familiarize you with each of the duties in the room and give you just a few more instructions as a refresher before we start today. We're gonna start with our greeter. 3 primary tasks for the greeter. One is to review the attire, your people coming in, that we don't have party affiliated or candidate affiliated clothing. If it's a MAGA hat, a MAGA t-shirt, we even have I like Ike. So anyway, that doesn't seem offensive, but it's party affiliated, so all that, none of that attire can come in. You can send them to the bathroom to reverse a shirt if possible. Whatever it takes, we need to just have that not visible when they come in here. Second thing is to make sure that their cell phone is turned off. Doesn't mean airplane mode, it doesn't mean silenced, it means physically turned off so that there's no way to record sound or audio in the election station. That does include when people put their phones away. If you have a gentleman who has their phone in their pocket with the camera facing out, we don't want to see that. Have them put it away so that's not visible. And thirdly, we want to have their photo ID out and available. So the lines have been pretty significant this time. We don't want to back things up with people struggling to get their driver's license or ID out of their wallet while standing here. So that's all preparatory that can get done out there. So when they come in here, we're ready to go. And any form of ID is acceptable. You don't have to say get your driver's license out. You just have your photo ID available. That's the preparatory thing. And so we want to keep the door clear. We're in and out of here a bunch, going in for resupply and whatever. So if the greeter will kind of stand kind of where Jim is, just right kind of at the door, but have the line be at the door frame and behind, and maintain just a visual on this table. As soon as someone clears out, go ahead and push them in. So the lines have extended around the building. You know, if you're this person standing back here, you don't want us, delaying your process to get in here. Okay, so that's the greeter. The next station is our voter verification station. So that's using the poll pad. When the voter comes in, they're going to hand you that ID card. The first thing you're going to do is visually confirm that the person resembles the person on the ID they just handed you. It might mean someone needs to remove a mask, sunglasses, a cap, whatever you need to do to have a good visual on the person, make sure it's a close match. And people do change, we have men with facial hair, women with different color, and, so just confirm best as you can. Yes, Mary?
To speed things up, I watch the person's face as they come in, so I'm identifying and memorizing their face, and I look at the card.
Excellent.
And it's already done. I don't have to do this and this and this. So just
Excellent.
watch
Yeah.
the person.
Okay, she's getting ahead of the game. All right, so that's the first thing. Just confirm that they resemble their ID card they presented. We are an ID card required, photo ID required state. Okay, if it's a driver's license, you're going to place it in the cradle with the barcode facing you. Hit the tab that says scan barcode, and it's going to pull up their voter registration record if they have one. Not everyone does, and you'll probably encounter that during this today. So when it pulls up that voter record, you may get 3 likely banners that would be an alert. The first would be suspended or in suspense, and I call it an amber color. It might be between that yellow and green. Anyway, there's a clearly distinguished banner that says suspended. If they are suspended, that likely means that the voter registration card was mailed to them and got returned in the mail here, so we have a question about their residence. So if that's the case, we're going to issue them a statement of residence card. I've got several of these up here in front, and I keep resupplying because we've been going through them. So have them just step outside in the hallway. We've got a table and pens. Have them complete that and then come back in. They're still at the front of the line, and
Don't have to go back to.
yeah, right.
No.
So that's a mandatory requirement if it says suspended. Similarly, if you say, are you still on Peach Street? And they say, no, we've just moved to Apple Street. That's another, they volunteer that information. Another reason to issue them a statement of residence card before they proceed to vote. So those 2 scenarios require a statement of residence card. The other banner you will have says voter ID required. Well, we're a voter ID state, we're looking at everyone's.
Can I go back to the first thing?
Yes, ma'am.
So they've come back with their form. I'm still gonna print out whatever comes out there for their district.
Oh, yeah, they're gonna vote where they're currently registered. This will
Right.
just update.
And then that goes to you.
Yes, yes. Yeah, y'all can keep, you know, not every time, you can just kind of let them assemble and I'll grab a cluster. Okay. All right, next though is the voter ID required. In that scenario, someone may have moved within the state and updated their driver's license online and checked update my voter registration online. So we have not visually confirmed that person and associated them with that record. We have this form, it's a list of voters indicated as ID voters. That's saying up here as well, and all you do is fill in their name and their voter unique ID number on here and process them. And so both of those, on your right-hand side, it'll say cast regular ballot. So once you've done the paperwork, you proceed to process them like every other voter. The third banner you will see is going to be red, very good attention getter, and it has something to do with their voter registration for this election. They may have received a ballot by mail. They may have already voted. If it's red, that's a hey Scott, you know, let me know. If they come in with a ballot by mail and want to surrender that, I've got the opportunity to do that. If they received a ballot by mail and don't have it with them, they can't vote until they come surrender that. So there are some other circumstances they may have applied and not received it, but any of those red banners, hey Scott, I'll address those. Okay, but once you process that voter, you're gonna print a ballot slip and you're gonna direct them to come around the table to this station where they will receive their ballots. All right, so their ballot slip, this election is somewhat unique here because we have standard ballots. So in early voting, we're voting county-wide, so we have 13 precincts. All of these precinct ballots are over here. Harper ISD is also doing their school board election, so we have Harper ISD ballots on this side. So when you get their slip, if it's and this is, for example, a 15, a plain 15, you're pulling from this side. All of these are labeled, you know, for example, right there, there's precinct 15, you're gonna grab 3 ballots from that bin. If it's 15 HISD, we're coming over here to this side. It does not mean that they get one of each. And here's an example. So here's precinct sample ballot. Here's 5, and here's 5 HISD. They're identical on the front. However, on the back, the 5 HISD includes the Harper school board race. So it's all inclusive, so they don't get 2 ballots, they just get the appropriate one based on their ballot style. You don't need to spend a lot of time reviewing anything on here other than that number bolded right there. So don't get confused by anything above the line, just what is in bold right there. 15 is the left side, 15 HISD is the right side. All right, so when you present ballots to the voter, you're gonna grab 3 and only 3, and you're gonna span them out on the table so it's clear that you have 3 ballots out there. Ask the voter to select one. It's very easy to see that they've picked 1 out of 3. If in the old days, if we put 6 out there and they grab 2, it's harder to tell that 2 went away instead of that. So anyway, just 3. And at that point, just have the voter review the ballot, be sure that they know that there is front and back side, and you're going to point to this card on the table just so that they can see clearly how to mark the ballot. They're going to fully darken the square for the candidate they're going to vote for. And so both sides fully darken the squares. We let them know there are pins in every booth they can go vote, and on their way out the door, the red curtain, they deposit their ballot in the scanner. They get their I voted sticker and off they go. When you are done with that voter and you still have 2 ballots here, return those very carefully. Just make sure they go back in the same bin they came from. Occasionally, you'll be pulling ballots 3 and it says 5. You know, we've occasionally made that mistake. So be as diligent returning them as you were selecting them. Let me address curbside quickly. We've done 415 curbsides so far. Phenomenal. Day 1 was 110.
Wow.
So, doing that for us, whoever's helping with curbside is gonna come up here and just stand here and wait until you finish with the voter, and then they're gonna give you a slip. The same procedure applies. They give you a precinct 5 ballot slip, you come grab it, and you're gonna give them 3. Now, occasionally, there may be 2 voters in that car, husband and wife. So rather than having them repeat the steps in and out after 415 trips already, we will give them 4 ballots. And at the car, and you guys will rotate through, at the car, we will present the first person 3 ballots. We'll have the 2 left over, then we'll walk around to the other side and then have that 4th one. We'll add that to make 3 ballots to present to the next voter. They're gonna return the empty ones again, the ones not voted. So again, diligently return those where they came from. Anyway, but that's gonna happen here. They'll allow you to finish with the voter, but be attentive to here. Don't get too carried away in your conversation, have your back, and they're standing there waiting, but Elizabeth will probably tap you on the shoulder. But, okay, so that's curbside. The last position is our scanner assistant. So 99% of the time when they walk up to the scanner, they just place their ballot on the green arrows, it scans it in, they get the chime, American flag, your vote counted, they get their sticker and walk out the door. But occasionally, the ballot will kick back out of the scanner. Please have the voter not grab the ballot and don't pull it out, but have them just leave it there and ask the voter, what does the scanner say? It will tell them which race and what the problem is. Invariably, people start to read about halfway down where it says the voted too light. It's like, on which race? and it's a trouble. Anyway, just have them start at the top. It tells you in big at the label at the top which race. So it could be the presidential race. You voted, overvoted, or voted too lightly. All it takes is a dot in a second candidate's name, and it's going to recognize that and perceive it as an overvote and kick it out. So ask the voter, what does it say? We'll figure out which race is affected. And then the voter gets 2 options. And don't just tell them immediately cast ballot as is. That's being a little bit too prompt. The voter gets 2 options. They can correct their ballot. If they've just marked lightly, they can come back and maybe fully darken in to get their ballot corrected. If they have overvoted, they have the option either to spoil that ballot, come get a brand new one, and they can go re-vote and make sure every race counts. Or you can tell them if the race that's affected and on the label, if they cast ballot as is, will not count. So every other race will. So they have the option cast ballot as is if they don't want to go to the trouble to come correct it. As long as it's stayed in the scanner, cast ballot as is. The minute they pull that ballot out, that string goes back to the ready to vote string. So that's why you got to have them leave it in there.
Do
Give
they
the
come,
voter.
I'm sorry, Scott, do they come back over here?
If they're gonna spoil it, they're gonna come to me, I'm gonna collect that, I'm gonna write spoiled on it, I'm gonna record it and maintain custody of that ballot, and we'll issue them 3 new ones again to select from. So, don't be hasty and say cast ballot as is. Give the voter the option to make the decision, either to correct the ballot, spoil it, or cast as is. Okay, I think that's kind of our duty positions, Martha.
Way to go, Scott.
Yay! 1 minute to go.